Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Shama channel. We are here for the Supercoppa Italiana semi-final preview. I know it feels weird saying that because it's never been done before. It's the first time that's a Supercoppa semi-final, and we're up against, I know our Curva Nord is friends with them, the Lazio, and we faced them recently. And to preview it all, I've got one of the best people possible to preview it, Stephen K. Moore, joining us from the Laziali. He's been on the channel before, Lazio diehard fan, and makes those beautiful displays that you see in his backgrounds as well. So welcome, Stephen, to the channel. How you doing, brother?
It's good to be back. Everything is well.
Yeah, everything is well. As I said, we only faced you guys. Was it like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? So it wasn't that. It's still fresh in our mind. We got a nice win at the Olympicos. I'm sure you guys are looking for revenge. How are you feeling going into this? Before I get into the comments from people, like straight up, like Lazio fans, the Supercoppa, do you want it? Do you actually want to win it? Do you want this extra 8 million euros? That's apparently the prize money. What are you telling me?
All money is good money, and we know how Lotito operates. So, if there's 8 million on the board, like it's reported, he's going for it. But I think so. I think obviously over the years we've been the Supercoppa, Coppa Italia. I think we've been one of the underdogs who've won it quite a bit. I think that's something that Sadi would like to add to his belt. I think adding a trophy to his time at Lazio will kind of suit well with the fans and kind of bond it together a little bit more. So I think the Supercoppa, like every trophy we compete in, like Coppa Italia or Supercoppa, you see, we're usually going deep in those competitions most of the time, deeper than we usually do in Europe. So I think it is important, but I'm feeling good. We're in form right now. Obviously, we'll get into it, I assume. But the lost Dean said, I think there's revenge to be had, and I think it could be done. It's possible this time around. But I'm feeling good going into this one.
Yeah. That's good. That'll make things interesting, especially if you guys are wanting this, because you've been hit and miss this year, haven't you, Lazio? Kind of Champions League, you qualified by the group stage. Campionato, yes, you have recovered recently, but the start was not very good at all. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting game against you guys. And Kirby, what's up? Hope you well. Yeah, we are previewing the Lazio game with a Laziale. And actually, Harry, I can't answer your question because I don't know. I know the game tomorrow is at 7 p.m. UK time kickoff here in England, but I actually do have no idea if any like broadcaster has picked it up or not. So I may have to watch it via, means that sketchy. Let's say that sketchy means. What about you guys over there in Canada? What time is kickoff, and is there a broadcaster supplying this?
So it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here in Toronto. I'm not too sure about the broadcaster. I might be using some alternative means of watching as well. I think usually the stuff Coppa Italia, we have the same issue, unfortunately, here in Toronto and Canada. We can't really watch them unless there's a different way to watch them.
Yeah. So we're both gonna have to find those alternative means of watching it. Shout out to Christian Potato, who was gifted a channel membership by Debbie last time around. So shout out to them. Mattia reminding the good people, yes, before we get into all the nitty gritty, guys, please make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out all the links I've left below to check Stephen out as well, his work at the Laziali, which is a news channel and the website for Lazio. Stephen himself, and then also the displays, as I mentioned, for Display Pro Shop that you see on his right hand side, but on the left hand side of our screen. Christian actually had a good question to get things kicked off. Stephen, Sarri, like he's kind of known for he doesn't really seem to care much about cup competitions over his career. You said you guys won it. Do you think Sarri? I mean, I don't know. He had his pre-match press conference today. Has he said whether they won this or not?
I think his actions will kind of speak louder than words. I think in this case, we're going to be going with a full starting 11. I think if we were to see us, alternate a few different players and give other people's chances, that when we're facing Inter before, for example, if it's not going to be that same team or like for like around that way, I think you could kind of show he's maybe just saying, okay, let's just give some others a rest and get back into it against. I think we have Napoli up next, so obviously we've got two hard games back to back, but I think, guys, what you've seen from the reports and the probable 11s, I think Sadi's going all in on this. I think after losing against Inzaghi a few weeks ago, I think the club wants the redemption. And obviously, we're going to have an old friend, our good old friend, and your friend, actually, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, who's going to be watching the game. boosting us on. So I think it would be good to get the win. But definitely, I think Saudi, like I said, I think he wants a trophy, and I think it's possible, like especially in this competition here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, bringing up that point quickly about Milinkovic-Savic, I saw you retweeted this, so I bookmarked it earlier. So it looks like he will be in the stand, and for Inter as well. So SMS in the stands for Lazio, and then on the other side, apparently Brozovic, who also plays in Saudi Arabia, will be in the stand. So two of the best midfielders of the past, 5-6 years for both clubs in the stands. They still would walk into like team of the year for Serie A teams, right?
Easily right now. They can walk back into Lazio and Inter. Who knows? We're seeing a lot of people come back. Henderson just made the return. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I've not really kept up with SMS. Is he doing well out there, or like what's he doing?
Al Hilal is, they're killing it, and when he's got superstars around him, it's the same thing that we were saying for years. Like you put him on a Real Madrid, you put him on a Barcelona, he'll thrive just because he's good himself, and when he's got other good players around him, he's bound to win something. I'm surprised he left. I know we've had the conversation. I'm not sure if I've had it with you, but I've had it with various people. I really expected him to go to a top team before making the money move. I thought I would have loved to see him play for a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, any of those top teams around Europe competing for the Champions League regularly. I wish he would have done that first, but maybe in the future. He's still got a few years, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's still relatively young, and he's gonna remain. I think his style of play should keep him going for a while. I'm just happy that he didn't go to Juve, because I always thought that was like written in the stars. They always seem to be like an obsession, like Juve every summer, Juve.
Yeah,
we got like links here and there, but it wasn't. I don't think it was like concrete.
No.
Yeah, just like these rumors that have surfaced since yesterday are definitely.
I saw that. Not concrete.
No, guys, let's forget it. Those guys are earning way too much money out there. As it does, I don't see it happening.
I think he's won too many titles in the Champions League. I think if he didn't and he wanted to make a last push, possibly, but he's done it. He's done it so many times with Real. I don't know if that's enough of a pull, if you want to call it that, to get him to come in.
Yeah, definitely. But you never know. Some of these guys might be desperate to come back to Europe, as we've seen with Henderson and Ajax. So I'm sure he's taking a very hefty pay cut to do that. Moving on to the actual like Supercoppa in general, Mattia asks, and I had this question for you as well. Like the new format, the semi-final, final, and then on the other side, obviously we've got Fiorentina and Napoli that will be playing. What do you make of this format? Do you like it? Do you think it's good? Outside of our team, do you think it's good for Italian football, what this is, or what's your thoughts and feelings on this?
I think I'll start on the Italian side of things. So, like Autocurva Nord, I don't know about yours, but they put out a statement saying, we're not coming, we're not going to be there. This isn't in our DNA. We're Italian. So, on that side of things, I think most Italians probably feel the same way. And then the second side of things is the players themselves. Obviously, this is an extra few games to play now instead of just like the one-off here. Let's win the trophy. Or not win the trophy. So there's more games, but it's also, if I look at it at like a competition level in sorts, I do kind of find it, you're getting those 4 different teams instead of just the 2. It's not just a one-off, right? Because these players are flying from Italy to come to a different country to play one game and then leave before, right? It's a little bit of like I can't imagine what that feels like, going to a completely different country, completely different climate, different stadium, never been there before. Most of these players have never been. And then you're playing in a game in a stadium in front of, I don't know how many people this time around. And then, you're flying back and you have to play, another Italian team like right afterwards. So doing this kind of allows them to, get more accustomed, I think, and allows them to stay for a longer period of time. It probably feels a little bit better for the players. In general, it's a tournament, right? So for myself, looking at this, I'm like, I get to watch my team more. It's better, but obviously in general, I don't think so. I think going to Saudi Arabia, I think this might even be, I would say, the last year that they'd want to do something like this. I really prefer to just keep it, if they want to do something else, something different, travel to, another European country, even do something different like that, right? Or host, who knows, like in a different countries where I go, if you want to do that, but keep it in Europe. But kind of doing this, like I imagine it the home and away of the Coppa Italia. It's kind of very similar to that, which is why I think they wanted to do something new. And obviously, if we're receiving the money that is being talked about, I think that's the reason why, at the end of the day, we're doing this, right? Money talks. And that's why we're going out there to, hey, sign a partnership deal, sign a whatever. We're going to get this $1 million to, come to play, to win. who else is going to do that, right? So the clubs are thinking at it from more of a financial level, which at the end of the day makes sense for them. So
Yeah, 100%. Because yeah, even to motivate the Inter players, I saw a report that apparently Steven Zhang has said he's gonna, if we win the Supercoppa, he's gonna give 1.5 million bonuses to the whole team to like share out. So yeah, I guess we
there it is.
as fans, as you said, like we're seeing this as like 2 extra games that we don't really need, especially as Inter fans. Like when the Supercoppa, it was against Juve previously, and last year against Milan. Is like even it's a friendly, you want to win that game anyway.
Of course.
But this one is kind of like obviously still like big teams, but it feels like a bit extra. And then yeah, our focus is definitely we're in the middle of the Scudetto battle against Juve, against Allegri's terrorist Juve, and we just don't want to fall behind and have that thing happen, as Harry says, the Bologna extra game that we had to play a couple years back. Radu Gate happen, and mentally it can take a toll on you. So it's definitely for us fans, it feels like I'll say that now, but then when we're playing tomorrow, and we're like, yeah, come on, we need to win this.
And if you win the trophy, then the mentality changes, of course. But in the moment, I totally get it. Because especially like right now, like it's. I said this like to my Juve friend yesterday. I said, if Inter blows the season to Juve this year, I think that'll be one of imagine this team, this current starting 11, looking back 10 years from now, going, they won. They beat this Inter team. They won the Scudetto this year.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like you said, absolutely insane with Allegri right now. But hey, it's your season to go. It's head to head right now, right? But when you guys are in form, it's difficult to kind of just that's what I mean. Like you're going off course to do something that's completely unrelated, then you gotta change the mindset completely. Celebrations, even if you win, probably aren't for that long. It's one of those like weird things mid-season, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. And then the funny thing is, we go back straight after the Supercoppa, depending on if we get to the final or not. We've got Fiorentina straight afterwards, so we might even play Fiorentina in the final, and we might have to play them again. Yeah, and then afterwards is the biggie, the big one on the 4th of February, Juve at home, and then Roma after that. So it's like thick and fast, big games straight after this. Yeah. Let's have a quick look for the Lazio fixtures on the other hand, if you guys make it. So you've got Napoli straight after and then Atalanta away. So really, really difficult.
Yeah, tough stretch for both of us right now. But hey, we're in form right now. I know you guys have been in form all season, but we're finally finding form, if you want to call it that. I think it's 5 now, so it's a good feeling going into them because coming off of losses against, let's say for example, a Lecce. Lecce, for some reason we've been unable to beat for the last 4 outings I think it was. We finally beat them this time around, and even so, it wasn't an easy one. So even that kind of shows the mentality change of the players because we lost at the beginning of the season, we lost last year, lost the year before, and now it's like of a switch. We're finding continuity, which is good. So we'll see what happens against these top teams.
Yeah. Speaking of, your recovery, I was just pulling up the stats of your comparison over this stage over the last few years, and you're compared to last year, you're minus 5 points compared to this point last season after 20 games in the league. You've got 3 more losses, and you've conceded 4 more goals, which was your big strength last year was your defending. But your big drop off is you've scored 12 less goals than at this point last season. So what do you make of all this? Is that Sergei Milinkovic-Savic good leaving, the Immobile injury? I was expecting, I know there was a lot of change, but I was expecting Sarri, he's one of those coaches that if you give him time, second, third season, you should be seeing, those patterns of play really, popping off and be champagne football coming in. Whereas style of play wise, I'm not really enjoying it. When I tune into Lazio game, I'm not finding a very enjoyable team to watch. Like, where do you stand on all this?
Yes, of course. So there's a few different things kind of coming into play. And the biggest thing, like you said, in a comparison of last year to this year is the amount of goals being scored. Obviously, a lot of factors contributing to that. We've kind of went with for the first time in a while, we've kind of splashed money on getting quality depth, which is something we've not had for various years. Like tomorrow, you look at it, we're going to play Vicino, we're going to play Guendouzi, we're going to play Cataldi, we're going to play Rovella, we're going to play Luis Alberto, we're going to play We have all these options now, which we haven't had before in the past. It's always been like, we have a very strong starting 11, which we've said over years, midfield could have been compared with, some of the best in Europe. But then as soon as one of those pieces get out, It's
Yeah,
not
you had
there. And we saw that.
Pro coming through.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. You see where he's at now, right? So it was one of those issues on that front. But then also you have an aging Immobile. You have an Immobile who's picking up more injuries than usual, and also it's a complete change in style of play. I think after Milinkovic-Savic left, I think while he was there, sorry, I'll start with this. Sarri kind of just rolled with the flow. He obviously did what he wanted on the left side, or with we saw the issues with Luis Alberto at first. He had to bench him at first. Luis Alberto was supposed to go when he first came because he wasn't fitting the box-to-box midfielder type of role that he wants. Milinkovic-Savic was already doing that for Inzaghi. He was already getting forward. He was already being the link-up play. He was already being the one off goal kicks or from the back line to move the ball up and win those 50-50 tackles because he was just such a unique midfielder that I don't think there's really too many like him. I've struggled to find a comparison since I've watched him, around Europe right now, of what he's able to do. Maybe Bellingham, but he's more of an attacking midfielder, I would say, than what Sergei is doing in the past. So while he was there, we kind of just continued to roll with the flow, and kind of there's still some signs of what Inzaghi had left behind. Now that he's left, I think Sarri went for a complete, fresh rehaul. He said, okay, this is the way, I've done it in the past. This is the way we're going to do it. So whoever comes into that position, I need him to be a box-to-box midfielder, and then everything else is going to go the way I want to do it. So when you say, I say the same thing, and my Nono and my cousin and everyone else who watches Lazio says the same thing. We play so predictable and so boring football sometimes where it's like, yes, the triangles might look good and they might work, like we saw in the last game against Roma. These quick one-touch passes, we got up the field, 2 seconds, and we had a chance to score, and we should have scored. But for the remaining of the game, it's so predictable. We go up the left, Sakani tries to cut in from the inside, gets fouled, doesn't get fouled, claims for a foul. Back the same way. When we go up the right, it's a little bit different, but Felipe Anderson is obviously up form this year, and that's another reason why we're lacking in goals. There's so many individual characteristics where the biggest thing Saudi has said, game over game, is our top players that have been our top players are not performing like they have in the past. And then when you get a new signings, it takes time to adjust, and this is the result. So it kind of seems like everyone's kind of forming now, but the biggest issue is kind of, if you want to call them the senators of the team, like we have over the years. Their positions aren't that safe. Felipe Anderson is being, overtaken by Niziksen, who's just coming in now. Ciro Immobile is being taken over by Castellanos at sometimes. There's all these, in Luis Alberto, same situation. We're seeing him benched, and we've seen him benched as a big point, is that he might even be benched tomorrow against Inter, because we've seen that happen so many in so many different occasions where he'd prefer someone safer like a Vicino and a Guendouzi, because they're the box-to-box midfielders who meet a style of play so perfectly, which is why, Guendouzi, we've said, is our best player this season, not even the best signing, our best player this year, because he's come into a team completely fresh, completely new, but because he has the characteristics meant for Saudi ball and that center midfield role, he's doing it perfectly. And that's why everyone, he's a standout star. So there's a lot of different things going into the issue of why we're not scoring so much, but hopefully it's able to change. But we've always had that top goal scorer. So if Castellanos is going to be that person, I'll say this: he needs to actually start scoring, because before he scored that header I think 2-3 weeks ago. He had 30-35 shots and he had 1 goal, and a lot of them were he should have scored on so many different occasions, right? So we thrive off of having a strong attacking striker, whether it be from the Klose days, the Tommaso Rocchi days, and that there's so many different players in the past that we've had, and Immobile has obviously been that person for so long, but obviously there's a time that it runs out. So whoever comes in next definitely has to fill those shoes. He's got big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and where do you stand with Sarri in general? Faith remains strong with you on Sarri?
I don't think there's reason to complain. Obviously, the style of play is what I like to see something better. We said this last time with Inzaghi. Well, he's in the tail end of his season. Oh, he's so predictable. Oh, he's not performing like he should. Oh, maybe he should make these substitutions at this time. There's always an issue with the manager, but right now, if he hasn't lost the dressing room, if he's securing points, if we're not falling down the table, we've always, we started the season shaky, but we've always been in that loop. And you see it now where, we're basically at the 4th place spot, and Bologna and Fiorentina are only going to continue to drop because they had this great start to the season, and now we've already seen it start. They're going to start to fall off. Lazio's always been a team that picks it up in winter. So right now, for me, if he continues to find the form that he's finding, we finish. Let's just say, Bayern's going to be a tough feat in the Champions League. In all honesty, we're not going to make that. We're not going to make it through a tough Bayern right now. We've already experienced them once in the last time out, but with that competition gone, we have the Copa, we have the Supercoppa, and we have the season. If we're able to go deep in all of them, maybe win a trophy, and then obviously finish top 4 or top 5 in Serie A, because I think we're getting an extra Champions League spot for the next season. For me, that's a win. If we start to get out of that zone, if we're in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, obviously that's when you start to go, okay, what has worked and what hasn't? Is it fixable for next season? Like you said, after 2-3 years, Saudi ball kind of finds its form, or is it kind of a Pioli situation where 2-3 years and maybe we should move on because we've kind of seen the best that we possibly can. So
so many points there. That's a interesting perspective, and obviously, like, I know it shouldn't really matter, but in football it's always about comparison to your rivals. And at the moment, obviously, you guys are seeing Roma just like going down. They're like what, ninth in the table, and obviously just yesterday or the other day the other day, it's all feels like everything's blending into one day. But Mourinho, of course, as a Inter channel here, we all still love and appreciate Mourinho a lot, but I've maintained for a while that I don't know if finished or dusted is kind of like, I don't like using those extreme words, but I don't think he's definitely not a top coach in my opinion anymore. What do you make of the whole situation? Like, I know it's hard for you to be objective, but objectively, what did you make of the whole situation at Roma?
And, from a joke perspective, we wish he would have stayed for life. But in all seriousness, no. I think I said this at the beginning of the year too. After the 2 seasons he had, I think this is his 3rd season if I'm not mistaken. Didn't really do the results that he's supposed to get. Winning a Europa Conference League trophy for me means absolutely nothing. You looked at his record against the top teams in the league. I think he won 5 out of 30 games against the other top teams in the league, which is an abysmal record considering he's a title manager. He wins all of these tough games against opponents, gets in their head. He won 1 game against Lazio in the Derby della Capitale, which is the biggest game for Roma. Which is speaks volumes right there. He's in a cup competition, which he always says, "Oh, my biggest thing was Tottenham firing me before I could play, for a trophy." Okay, well, you're in a trophy. You're facing Lazio, which is your biggest rivals, and you're crashing out. That was, I think, the absolute breaking point for me. But you can see by the record he had, the worst Roma coach in 30, 40 years, worst record against the top other sides in the league. He has that mentality of being the special one, the great one, but I honestly don't think he showed it here. Year after year, you always get Roma signing these top players on a free, whether it be Renato Sanchez, whether it be Paredes, all these guys who are supposed to be, oh, we're gonna win the league now. Why Wijnaldum? We're gonna win the league with these guys, and then it never pans out. If you look at all these players on paper, they are top players, but year after year, it's always like this. And, despite even Mourinho coming in to try with that leadership mentality, because I think he did provide, while his coaching, I think, is outdated, I think the way he deals with players, the way he deals with situations, the way he deals with getting into other people's heads is top. But that only gets you so far.
When it comes
as a man manager on field, that's the issue with him. And I think it eventually just, the U.S. owners got frustrated with, hey, all you do is complain. All you're doing is getting red cards. All you do is say this and that. Get results. That's the most important thing. You're the manager. You're being paid the highest paid manager in the league to, win, and you're sitting this low in the table year after year. It only goes so far.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's the Conference League. I mean, I'm gonna move on quickly, but you guys should have won that though. You should have took that seriously. Like, I know it's like a tin pot trophy, but I guess
I was surprised.
In last year, I guess you'll definitely take second over the Conference League, right?
Yeah. Definitely. That's why I think it was a season push to get us into Champions League, to be able to propel us into, okay, what are we going to do for the future, which we've now, we've seen trickle into effect. So if I look back and say, would I have rather finished, in a not even Europa League or Europa Conference League spot and won the Conference League? Obviously, a trophy is a trophy. European trophy is a European trophy, but for us, it's continuity. It's got to get into the Champions League and stay, competing with the likes of Inter Milan and Juve year after year. Not just winning one trophy and then absolutely falling off the face of the earth. Kind of like we're kind of seeing with Atalanta now. Like, they're the most talked about team, and now, we've seen what Gasperini and Atalanta are. They're still in the positions, but they're not what they once used to be. That beast in attack. So definitely seeing that same thing with them.
Yeah. Well, apparently, the current, because they should be kicking off right now. Napoli Fiorentina on the other side, and apparently not many people are watching in the stadium, so that's not much of a surprise. I mean, Napoli Fiorentina, I guess they don't have the biggest fan base out there in Saudi. Well, Lazio and Inter, I'm expecting, because I know a lot of the Saudi guys, they followed like Serie A and the. You still there?
Yep.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, Lazio and Inter, we had a lot of following from the Saudi guys. I think in the 90s, Serie A was very big, so I'm expecting much bigger turnout there. But it doesn't look very good on Italian football if the stadium is half empty.
No. Probably won't be showing the crowd too much this one, or they're gonna have some AI fans waving their hands.
AI generated FIFA looking crowd. There was a couple of questions just for you, Stephen. There was one from Mattia who says, well, actually, the both from Mattia. I don't know if I agree with this. It's kind of like hit and miss with Lazio. Sometimes you really do, especially at the Olimpico. This time around, it didn't happen. But why do you think they always turn against us as like prime Real Madrid?
I think so. First off, Inter always takes Lazio players. So I think with that in mind, I think it's always like a rivalry to try to beat them. Like I look back over my time with Rocky, with Hernandez, with Keita. There's so many
Very
right
mixed,
now.
very mixed
Correa.
results though.
Very, very, very. We take the money. You
Yeah.
get mixed results. It's like a 50-50 chance, right? But
Yeah.
no, like I said,
It's more
3
like
weeks
nine,
ago,
more
4
like
weeks ago.
9-10 chance.
3-4 weeks ago when we played you guys at the Olimpico, I personally thought the first half we dominated you. If we scored a goal, I think we win that game, but we didn't do it. Marusic made a mistake and the game was lost at that point. But I think every single time we had Milinkovic-Savic, who loves some guys they just love playing against certain teams, right? And I think Milinkovic-Savic for Inter was one of them. So while he's been here for the last 5, 6, 7 years, that's in recent memory. That's this whole situation, right? And we had Inzaghi at the Realm. Now he's with you guys. So there's always been some sort of a tie or some sort of relationship where it's like we want to win because we've seen you try to move on to something better, and now we want to make you regret it. I think is the main thing that kind of comes into life, because obviously most of the core management, whether it be Lotito and the management or some of the players that they've been around for a long time, so they know what this connection with the curva, this connection with the club, what it means.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, SMS, I used to hate him when he used to play against us. It always turned into prime Zidane. And then another one is relates to Simone, of course. Our beloved Limone, who had become Demone now at Inter recently, from Limone to Demone.
Upgraded.
Upgraded. What do you guys make of him? I think I kind of know the answer to this. I think now there's been enough time that's passed since that whole ordeal of him was supposed to renew. He left, but what do you make of Simone and Laziali in general, not just you?
Obviously, even before a manager, I think he was already in the hearts of Laziali. Obviously, the way he left, still up for discussions. I don't think the actual truth really came out. We had two stories. We had Inzaghi saying one thing, and Lotito saying one thing, and they've never actually said the exact story. I don't think that will ever happen. But as Inzaghi, I kind of see why he had to do what he had to do. I think we had the discussion. He said what's going to happen, and the answer wasn't what he expected. And of course, if the likes of an Inter pops up and you guys are challenging for the Scudetto, challenging in the Champions League, it's a massive opportunity. Like for me, Inzaghi, I think the next step for him is to coach the Azzurri. I think that's the next spot for him once it becomes available after Inter. I do think he's going to win a lot of trophies at Inter if he stays for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I think it's possible right now. He has a team, he has a mentality, and you can see what he's done as a manager. And obviously for Lazio, we know what he did, we know what he won. He came into a rough situation following, I think it was Pioli's, firing. He came up, if I remember correctly, and he kind of took over that team and made it his own. Yeah, and then it could have been a completely different direction. Who knows? He might still be coaching the Primavera right now if it wasn't for that, right? So I think he's followed along the path. You can't blame him. Obviously, it's sad to see and it sucks to see, but he's still one with the fans. I think, or at least for myself, I can say.
Yeah. I think it's hard to hold a grudge when he's just kind of trying to do the best for his career, trying to improve himself. Actually, I don't know if it was 37. I think it was total prize was 31, 33. But I can't remember. I definitely had Jerry on the channel to speak when we signed Correa, and I think I spoke to either you or Sean about it. Did it surprise you how badly Correa flopped the Inter? Because I know Sean was a big fan of his.
I was never. So the only thing I liked about Correa was obviously watching him do step overs or beat a man, right? But finishing, not there. Mentality, not there. Attitude, not there. There was a lot of things for me I didn't like. I wasn't a fan. It was kind of it kind of reminded me of a Zarate at times, because he could have the best game in the world, but then he would just go absolutely missing. And it's you could offer so much more. So for me, it wasn't a surprise at all, honestly. And then when you look at the likes of, actually, to an extent, just because of like the Argentine connection of like being able to be with Lautaro, I thought maybe
Yeah.
there could have been like a situation where he could have possibly thrived, but
Mm.
from that it just proves it all, right?
Yeah.
Just not there. This wasn't it.
Yeah. And now he's like even flopping in Marseille, because I thought he'd go back to kind of a level, a bit below Inter, and that's maybe his level. But
Is where he
I think we
caps,
just
but
destroyed him. Yeah,
it's sad too because
mentally.
like Inter, if I'm not mistaken, was his his dream club to play for, which is why he made that move, right? And it's like you get the
Yeah,
opportunity and you just blow, like, especially even playing under Inzaghi too. It's like who you thrived at with Lazio. It's like
everything that like you
everything.
need as a player. He was given, like he was at the perfect age, 27, like under the coach that loves him in a formation that's perfect for him. And like Argentina, as you said, Argentine connection, everything was like there for him to thrive.
It just didn't happen. Mentality, head, everything.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not dwell too much on Pupu Correa, who's hopefully we get rid of him if Marseille qualify for the Champions League, because that's the clause in the contract. Let's move on to tomorrow's game, the predicted lineups. Let's go through Lazio's one first. As we said, Sarri clearly cares about this Supercoppa, because this is, aside of injuries, pretty much one of the strongest lineup that he can put out. What's your thoughts? Is there any changes you would make, and is there changes that you've heard that are incorrect here?
So the only thing here that I'm noticing, so there's a few situations, in attack and midfield and in the back line right now. So we're kind of dealing with a few injuries, and apparently there's been a few illness going around. But obviously on the flanks, we usually have one. There's three different players we're alternating with right now. Hasai has kind of just been, bench ridden, if you want to call it that. If Laziali starts, he starts on the right. Marusic starts on the left. If Pellegrini starts on the left, and Marusic moves to the right. Right now, this has been working very well. This current back line that you see here, apart from Patrick, obviously he had a shoulder injury before Roma, injured it again, was forced to come off last week against Lecce. So there, it's why I think he's going with Gila, and Gila has been our standout surprise star of the season. Been flawless, been an absolute legend coming into this team. When Romagnoli was injured, everyone was injured. Casale was injured, Romagnoli was injured. He had to step up and play with Patrick. I think the help from Patrick as well. He's been another great performer, and we just saw, I think yesterday, he's gotten a contract raise because of how well he's performed this year. He's kind of become from zero to hero in like a matter of months, which has been insane, but it's great to see. So I think Gila is probably going to start over him, and that's why they have him in the probable 11, just because of Patrick's shoulder injury. I think it probably gives him some time to rest. In the midfield, the classic, like I said, I think Luis Alberto is going to be benched against Inter off the start. He'll come into the game. It's been a common theme as of late, but I think Sarri prefers more of the solidity, and that's the same thing why Rovella is over Cataldi, why you're not seeing Kamada in there. It's the same kind of situation. So we're going with more of like a solid. We want to kind of control the midfield, get a big presence, win the challenges, and then creativity in the second half or late into the game to try to give us a spark. Up top is probably surprising you, but for us, obviously we know Ciro Immobile is coming back off from injury. He's only played a little bit of minutes last game, so I think risking him off the start of the game and trying to force him to play 70 minutes in this game, and then if we win another game after that, followed by Napoli, I don't think it makes sense. So I think that's why we're seeing Felipe Anderson in the central as a false nine. Isaacson coming in on the right. So I think this is probably what we're going to see more or less. You might see Patrick over Gila. You might see Luis Alberto over Vicino, but I think this is like the more preferred and more probable option. And it shows, like you just said, with what we have at our disposal. Obviously, Castellanos is not there, and Immobile is coming back from injury. So like Sadi's starting the best possible team that he possibly can against Inter, which kind of just shows you, right? He could have opted to not do this, but he's not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's a good lineup. What about Vecino? I mean, we spoke about Correa. Let's speak of the other side, an Inter player going over to you guys. I mean, I wasn't like a Vecino defender. I used to get a lot of flack in our fan base. I used to just say, like, between him and Gagliardini, I would pick Vecino all day, and I think it's kind of now career-wise, it's shown which player was superior. And he's been clutch for you guys over the last couple of seasons, right?
So I have a connection with Vicino that I think most Laziali forget about. That last game of the season against Inter, when we could have, we were competing for that last Champions League spot, and someone scored a goal. Someone scored a goal to not let us do that, and then that defender also went to Inter afterwards. That memory. I think that day, I sat inside in a dark room for probably 24 hours. De Vrij.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Gave you the penalty, and then the game-winning goal was scored by Vicino. So I already had, if you want to say, a hate on Vicino when he first came to Lazio.
Okay.
Obviously, he's he's a box-to-box midfielder, which is why, again, I say he thrives under a system like Saudi's. The only issue with him is that he just misses sitter after sitter almost
Mm,
every single game, which bothers me because the game could be put away so much earlier. If
mm.
anyone else is in that position, like in the Coppa Italia, we were up 1-0. We had that nice set of play, put the shot wide. Ball came back down the right flank, back into the middle 6 yard box, put the shot wide. I don't know if it was the same thing with Inter, but his finishing is abysmal.
Yeah.
That for me
He's
is
really
like,
good at getting into those positions, right? That's
yeah,
why like some people are starting to compare Frattesi to him, but hopefully he doesn't get to that level.
it's that level, yeah. So that's the only thing for him. But like overall, as like fitting into the system, adapting to life in Rome under Saudi with the teammates, absolutely, it's all good. But yeah, for me, there's always that bad memory of him. So every time he makes that sitter, he misses that chance. It's even like kind of worse. And I think I looked back, I did a search over my tweets with anything with Vicino over the last 2 years, and everything is like, get this guy off. He misses sitter, misses sitter, misses sitter. Like it's just funny because I was talking with my cousin about it, but it's the only issue for me with him.
Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I understand that. We all have those types of players.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, let's move on to into the lineup. The prediction. I think the latest update said it would be maybe Darmiano with Dumfries, which I don't know if it's still injury or it's just Inzaghi preferring. But I know quite a few people in the comments were saying play the B team, play the B team. Mattia and a few other guys. But look at this, guys. This is not a B team at all. This is pretty much the strongest lineup. This is the lineup that we put out against Monza, aside from Acerbi coming back in for De Vrij, which, I would have liked to see De Vrij continue. I think Acerbi does need and deserve a rest. But apart from that, I also would have liked to see Frattesi coming in again. He still hasn't started in a long time now. But apart from that, I can't really complain. But you can see Inzaghi is going all out. He wants to make history. He wants to be the coach that's won the most Supercoppas in Italian history. And I think we're going to do it, Stephen. I think, especially if he's going to put out lineups like these, I thought there would be more rotation. I think we're going to do it, and I think this lineup tomorrow is going to beat Lazio. What do you make of this lineup?
Well, I think, like you said, I think whoever wins this game wins the Supercoppa. Let's just go with
Yeah,
that. First off, I don't think Fiorentina or Napoli have what it takes
yeah,
at this current time. Obviously, we're seeing what's going on with Napoli, and Fiorentina is, unfortunate as it is, it's Fiorentina. We're seeing it even in the league; they're dropping off. So I think whoever wins this game wins the Supercoppa. I'm pretty sure this is the same lineup that faced Lazio, except I think it was Bisak who actually was over Pavard, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
You can
Bisak
correct me
was
if I'm wrong. So. Um, we've seen it. We know what it takes. Like, you obviously have not faced what we're going to put out tomorrow, so it might be a little bit different. I don't think it'll be too challenging, considering the lack of form our attack has had and how predictable we can be at times. But honestly, I think it's gonna be another tight one. If we go into it the same way that we went into it the first time we faced off, and we're just able to score that first goal in the first half, like I don't see it being a blowout. I see it being like a 2-1, a 1-1 extra time. I don't know how it works in the Supercup if they go into extra time, if they go straight to penalties. But
I think so. I think this new format they've made it so it doesn't go to extra time and straight to penalties,
so
which is good.
straight to
People like
penalties,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be a 1-1 or a 2-1, one way or the other. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout 3-0, 3-1, and we just get a consolation goal at the end type of thing. I think it's going to be fairly close. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently Pasquale Guarro, who's one of the Inter journalists, has said that Bisek has a chance to start because, he did quite well against Zaccagni last time round. He did have a good game against him.
Exactly.
So, but yeah,
Well,
to be honest,
what I say is, if you're marking Zaccagni now, Zaccagni is what my favorite player last year, just what he's able to do.
yeah,
If
he was good.
you just stand a meter to the left from him, every time he turns, he's turning into you. So you don't have to do much to block him this year. Like, it's incredible, like how it's
Like he's always cutting in, right?
he's always just cutting in, but it's almost like he would prefer a foul than getting up the pitch or
Right.
taking on a man or taking a shot or like trying to score. It's almost weird at sometimes. I like tomorrow when you watch him play, just watch the situation, because he can take, like, for some reason he doesn't want to take them, like, fake the inside and kind of go inside or sorry, outside, and take him down the line or something like that. He's not doing that this year at all. And every time he gets the ball, it's right foot to touch inside, and he'll try to run off the person. If he knows he's not going to get it, just drops. and it's the same thing over time. So it's becoming like a little frustrating on that front. But Isak, like you said last time, he kept him at bay, and he really didn't do much. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with me, like, yeah, Pavard's not really he's been, injured for a little while, so I don't think he needs any rest. The other guys, as I said, Acerbi is the one I would try to rotate, and then I said Fratesi. But apart from that, I don't really have much else to say about this lineup. Obviously, we don't want Arnautovic or Sanchez to start for sure.
I do. It's fine with me, but
yeah, go. Yeah, give me your prediction. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 victory for Inter if this is this lineup.
I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'll go 2-1 Lazio. I'll go on the opposite side this time. I think you guys got us the first time out, and you won because of a mistake by Marusic. I think this time out, we score in the first half, and I think we take it 2-1. It's my prediction.
Nice.
Whether it be in pens, whether it be in full time, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, as I said, if it goes straight to penalties, if it's true, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I read it. That would be, maybe, if it goes to penalties, I'll say you guys take it. Just because
Summer is good, though. Summer is good. I haven't seen, in penalties, you've seen like with Switzerland. So, penalties will be a tough one, especially if we don't have, Immobile in there, late in the game. Who knows who's going to be on if it does get into that right away. There's going to be a few different things at base. I think it goes to penalties. It's luck of the draw. I don't know where that goes. But, in the actual game, I'll go 2-1 Lazio if it's going to be like that. Pens, let the gods decide.
Last question. Coppa Italia, do you reckon you guys won Coppa Italia too?
So let's just say hypothetically we win the Supercoppa. I think we're going to ride off of that momentum and try to go all in for the Coppa Italia as well. We just beat Roma. We have a tough Juve game up next, though. But again, if we get past Roma, we get past Juve, the trophy's ours for the taking. It's just like one of those things, you get past the final hurdle, even though there's another game afterwards, it's your head's set. You're winning that trophy. And it's also kind of, I would say the same thing either way. If we come here and like we lose the Inter, let's say we get blown out tomorrow, 3-4-0. I think, mentality goes, okay, we just blew a massive chance to get, silverware. It's Coppa Italia time. And I think the mentality changes. We're a cup team. And, when we were with Inzaghi, we were even more so a cup team with that stuff. But I think, Sarri, like I said, needs to have that. I want him to get that silverware because, it kind of marks his, his ability, I think. And it gives him another trophy under his belt and under ours too. So
that would be like complete mic drop on Roma. Like if you, in the 3 years, like 3-year cycle of Mourinho, Sarri, if he can get like a Coppa Italia instead of the conference, is like boom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But thank you very much, Stephen, for coming through. Just last one as I saw here from another Stephen. Do I know Lazio ultras are kind of brothered with Inter ultras, but I don't think it's a thing, right, of you guys seeing Inter as a second team.
So I wouldn't. So if you compare them to the likes of, obviously I can't support another team, but if I have to have like another team that I'm going to cheer for to, let's just say, win the Scudetto, if it's in let's just say it's Roma, Juve, Milan, Inter, same points, last game of the season, they're all playing each other, they all have a chance to win. My mind does go to Inter, definitely. I think like the brotherhood there kind of takes place. I don't think Juve over the years growing up, Roma's sort of like, I don't have to explain that. Juve, growing up, I just continuously see them win that title. Take some of our players as well, like like the of a Nedved kind of pops into my mind. On that situation, can't fare with them. Milan's not too bad. Napoli is another one. Sorry, I should say, like maybe it's the colors, maybe it's like the iconic legends playing with them, like a Cavani, Hamzik, all those guys like were kind of legends growing up. So when I was watching them, player particularly Napoli, so I'd probably put like Inter, Napoli, Milan, Juve, Roma if we're gonna go on that ranking of order. And then the girlfriend now is an Inter fan too, so that gets quite entertaining. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So.
Nice choice.
Yeah, it could have been. It said, what happens if it's a Roma fan? I said, there's not a what if. So.
Nice. But no, thank you for coming through. Apparently, Napoli just scored their 1-0 up against Fiorentina. So let's see how. Let's say you go to the final. Any preference over Napoli or Fiorentina?
I think they're both about the same right now. Osimhen's not there. I think Fiorentina, like right now, I think they're both on like they're similar par level. It's kind of like a Lazio right now. So I think either way, if it's Fiorentina or Napoli, we've had Fiorentina's number over the years. Napoli, they've had it on us. I would probably say Fiorentina. I'd like to play to be able to win the trophy, but I think either way, it's going to be, if it is Lazio, Inter, or sorry, Lazio, Napoli, or Lazio, Fiorentina. I think it's a close game. Either way, I think we're very like-minded.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you, Stephen, for coming through. Please plug away anything that you want to let the people know about.
Yeah, definitely. So handle is there on the screen at @S_K_more. The Laziali, like you mentioned at the start, is the Lazio brand. So it's the English home of SS Lazio, everything Laziali. Come by, stop by. It's all the news, updates, previews, reports. It's all there for you. And then all this stuff, wrong way, here on the walls, the displays, Display Pro Shop. So that's the handle on Twitter. You can check us out. It's to get all these kits up for all the Interisti watching. I think Sharms has it up there or beside him on the corner there, but it's a way to get all the kits up on the wall to make them look sharp, kind of display the art, display the legends, display the famous kits. So check us out. Go from there.
Yeah, definitely check him out, guys. I left all the links in the description down below. Thank you for everyone that's come through. 51 people, please make sure all to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow for the post-match reaction, which hopefully will be a positive one. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter.